All right, we're rolling.
Myself situated here. All right. Hi, I'm Dr. Luck.
Dr. Quigley.
And Dr. Lloyd.
We're here from Rincon Chiropractic, Acupuncture and Massage, and today we're going to talk about what is that popping noise that happens when you get a chiropractic adjustment, or sometimes when you're just stretching. So Dr. Lloyd, there are two types of popping noises, and Dr. Lloyd's going to cover one of them.
Well, one is what we call cavitation. It's also called tribonucleation.
Right,
If you didn't know.
I didn't know that one.
Tribonucleation.
Well, you know when the boat's going through the water and the propeller's going, and it forms bubbles because it's like chopping through the water.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually cavitation too, and that can be kind of dangerous to the blade, the propeller.
Right, it creates some wear and tear on it, right?
Yeah, but within the joints in your body, like your knuckles or your spine, it's a little bit different. It's called tribonucleation. So if you picture one of the joints in your body, it's two bones. It comes together with a cartilage cap.
Yeah.
And the cartilage is a super slippery surface, and what makes it even more slippery is the synovial fluid. And so it glides past each other really effortlessly with no drag, no friction at all. And if you picture two panes of glass together with water between them, if you tried to pull those apart, the hydrostatic pressure, it will create that suction. It'll provide resistance, and finally it pops apart. The same thing kind of happens within the joint. So some researchers did a motion MRI of someone's finger as they pulled it apart and until it popped.
Mm-hmm.
So they used to think that the sound came from when the bones came back together, but this has happened when they pulled apart. And that they're both cavitation, but this is called tribonucleation, when the sound comes from pulling apart. And then gases escape, and we kind of know that.
Is it like a soda bottle?
Gases. Yeah, like a soda bottle
or a champagne bottle.
And it takes about 20 minutes before it all kind of comes back together, and you can pop it again.
Creates pressure, yeah.
So that's the popping noise from a typical chiropractic adjustment. But what are some of the other noises that you can get in your body?
A lot of people I find, especially even in my ankles, if you sprain an ankle in the past, you are going to have leftover tension, scar tissue.
I thought I fixed that.
We've got to work on that some more.
All right.
And if you can repetitively do it, usually it means there's a tendon rolling over a bone repetitively from how tight it is.
Creating like a snapping, grinding, crunching.
And the tightness
noise.
brings it closer to the bone. And so when you do a certain motion, it kind of continues to roll over. And as far as I know, I don't think that's harmful, and a lot of that is normal. And some of it can decrease when you start to adjust it, create more motion, and especially do exercises to strengthen those muscles again. But that's the other type of popping, snapping sound you might.
Sometimes you'll hear popping noises that happen, like Dr. Quigley was just mentioning, because the tension in the body, because there's one area of your spine that's not moving well.
Yeah.
A very common one is at the base of the neck here. This is my spine facing this direction, so this got back of the head. These are the bumps that you feel on your back. When this area is stuck and not moving well, you get a little too much movement just above it. So you might hear a popping noise from the joint cracking, like Dr. Lloyd was talking about. And you also might hear some grinding, clicking sensations because
like gravel.
Gravelly,
Yeah.
from the muscle tension as those bones and joints and muscles are all gliding, grinding over each other. Now, if we can free up those segments and get everything moving properly, so each of these segments contributes to that range of motion equally, then you're not going to have as much of that grinding or popping noise. So a really common thing I hear from my patients is that, well, I crack my neck all the time. Why do you need to crack it? Well, they're cracking probably the joint that's above the stuck area, the area that's not moving well. So they get a popping noise here, but it's not really fixing the area that's stuck and getting these segments to move properly. So the chiropractic adjustments are very specific to the areas that aren't moving properly, to help the areas that are moving properly, to take some stress off of those areas. So that's the kind of takeaway from the popping noise thing, is you can get clicks and pops throughout your spine, but you may not be getting the segments that are moving in properly to move completely. And so you want to see a chiropractor to help you with that.
So we did a pop, a snap, gravel. There's another one that we didn't mention.
Crack.
The clunk. The clunk.
Oh, the clunk.
So if you've got instability in your spine,
Yes.
and you're moving your maybe low back around and you feel a clunk, or it happens in your shoulder, clunk,
Yeah.
and that's a sign of instability.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And just like
that's-
what you said, if things aren't working in harmony, then it's more likely to do that because it's going to make that clunk even worse.
Yeah, clunk is a big noise.
But
that
if you've got
doesn't
a
feel good.
clunk, you've got to stabilize that area.
Yeah, more
Right.
less adjusting necessarily, but also something that a chiropractor should be able to help you with.
Adjusting
is to-
different areas than where the clunk is.
Yes, and getting the exercises in there to stabilize the instability.
And
So
one
that's
one
something
thing
we can
that
do.
I see tends to cause the instability is people trying to really force their neck and or other parts of their spine, and they
Self-cracking.
repetitively do it. When that happens, ligaments around the area become looser because you're moving it too much, and so
Hypermobile.
yeah, hypermobile. Down the line, that's not a good thing to do, and we definitely tell our patients to try not to force things. If it happens here and there through regular range of motion, that's okay, but definitely don't want to force things where they shouldn't be moving.
Yeah, if you're cracking your neck and you feel some relief, you may be getting some endorphin releases from that kind of popping noise that you get in
Right.
there, which is part of a physiologic response to a release of pressure in the joint. But you're not actually changing the biomechanics, so then you feel like you need to crack it again, and maybe an hour or two later, you're not really getting at the problem. You're just giving yourself a little relief temporarily with the cracking, and that can be a bad habit. Create
Yeah.
instability.
Yeah.
Hold on. What if you crack your knuckles? Is that bad for you?
Not really.
That's a
no.
good question. No, there's actually a study they teach us in school about this guy. I can't remember who his name is, but
I think he was a medical doctor, right?
medical doctor.
Yeah.
And he was curious about the same thing. So, do you remember how many years he did it?
It was like his whole career.
You cracked the knuckles on one hand.
Yeah, he'd crack knuckles
Yeah,
on one
40
hand,
years or
and
something.
they X-rayed for many years, and the hand that he would crack actually had less degeneration, less arthritis than the one he didn't crack.
Yeah.
They've also done other studies. They did a questionnaire for an elderly population, and some of them were habitual knuckle crackers, and others were not. And they did X-rays of their knuckles, and they found that people who had habitual knuckle cracking habits had less arthritis in their hands than those who didn't.
Interesting. And you can take it too far, just like cracking your neck. If you do it too frequently and you're stretching something, because cracking your knuckles might be a habit, or you might feel a little stiffness, but you're not bearing a lot of weight on your knuckles, and you're not putting a lot of force into those joints. But if you're cracking a neck joint repeatedly because of some other tension in your spine, your neck muscles are going to tighten up around that instability that you've created from overcracking it, and so then it becomes a vicious cycle, and that can cause some degenerative changes. So it can be bad to crack your neck or your spine all the time, but it also can be just fine to let your body crack and move, as long as you're not doing it repeatedly.
Yeah, basically don't force things.
Movement is key.
Yeah, movement
So
is great.
when you have joints that aren't moving well and you get some movement in them, you're going to increase the circulation in those joints. So as you free up the segment that's not moving well and you get it moving properly, that joint is going to have a lot more circulation. Those muscles are going to get stronger. You're going to have much better function in that area. So that is something that is helpful. So you do want to move your body around. If it pops here and there, it's fine. If you feel like you're always cracking that one spot in one direction, then that's an indication of an imbalance that you should probably get checked out, because you're going to create some wear and tear there.
Right.
Very
Yeah.
good.
We covered it.
All right, that's the popping. How we go? We all good? All right.
Good.